Hi there, I'm Gemma, the face behind Suffolk to Oz. Alongside my husband, our adventurous 2-year-old daughter and our rescue pup, we're gearing up for the biggest move of our lives, swapping the Suffolk countryside for sunny Australia in 2026. If you're dreaming of making the leap too, join us as we tackle the tough decisions, the endless paperwork and all the exciting moments in between. Plus, we'll be sharing the special memories we're making here in Suffolk before our new chapter begins. Hello, welcome back to the channel. So big news, we've decided to make the move to Australia next year. After living in the UK my whole life, I've decided now is the time for this huge adventure. So in this video, I'll be sharing with you 20 key reasons why we're looking to make the move down under next year. So if you're also looking to make the journey or you're just curious, then stick around because this is going to be a good one. So let's get the first one out of the way, shall we? It's obviously going to be the sunshine and the warmer weather. So Australia's warmer climate means that you can spend more time outdoors. So whether that's a day at the beach, a coastal walk, or just spending time in nature, you can do all of that without worrying about how many layers you've got to wear and if you need to take an umbrella. And the best part, most of it is free. So in the UK, the grey skies can keep you indoors, whereas in Australia, the outdoors is your playground. So the second reason has to be the active outdoor lifestyle. So one of the things I love most about Australia is how active everybody seems to be. So during our last trip, I was up at 6 a.m. one morning and I was amazed how busy the beachfront was already with cyclists, walkers, joggers. Everyone was making the most of their morning. It definitely seems like there's a pre-work culture and everyone is seizing the day. So whether it's a morning swim, an evening walk or a weekend hike, the weather over there really encourages you to move more, and that's something that's harder to do here in the UK where you've often got grey skies, it's wet and it's cold. So the third reason is letting my daughter enjoy being a kid. So in Australia I saw kids being, well, just kids. So riding their bikes, playing at the parks, just enjoying being outdoors. And it just reminded me of what a childhood should be. Whereas here in the UK, kids are often stuck indoors, glued to screens, because outdoor spaces aren't safe or accessible. I want my daughter to have a childhood filled with fun, freedom and fresh air, and I feel that's something that Australia can offer. So my fourth reason is it's built for families. Since becoming a parent, I've realised how limited the UK can be when it comes to things for young children. In contrast, Australia seems purpose-built for family life. So whether it's shaded playgrounds or just free public toilets that are located near playgrounds, walks and parks, everything in Australia seems thoughtfully planned for families. Brisbane alone has a network of free water parks and lagoons, as well as an endless list of beautiful walking trails and playgrounds. And when you're in a shopping centre, you'll often find fully equipped parenting rooms that come complete with feeding chairs, microwaves, bottle warmers and change stations. And sometimes you'll even find a soft play area so the older ones can be entertained while you get on with the task at hand. Everywhere you go, there are just small details that make you feel that raising a child is supported and not stressful. Reason 5. For the playgrounds that feel like mini adventures. Australian playgrounds are honestly next level. They're clean, well maintained and mostly graffiti free, and often are thoughtfully shaded so kids can play comfortably all year round. Each playground has its own personality and no two playgrounds are the same. And they also cater for all ages, from toddlers to teens. And you know it's going to be a good park when an Aussie says, "Oh, have you tried this one?" Here in the UK, you're lucky to find one good playground, but in Australia, it seems like there's a good playground at every corner. Reason 6, there's so many free things to do. Australia makes it incredibly easy to enjoy life without spending a penny. There are stunning coastal walks with purposely built boardwalks to enhance the experience, and free to use barbecue areas everywhere, as well as numerous beaches, water parks and lagoons that are all open to the public. Local councils often run free community events also, 1 year in Brisbane, we did a Christmas light trail that was completely free. In the UK, you'd likely be paying admission just to see the lights. Reason 7, people actually care about their environment. One of the first things you notice about Australia is it's clean. People take pride in keeping public spaces tidy, and if there's no rubbish bin, people take it home. Simple. It reminds me of how the UK used to be when I was younger. Sadly, fly tipping, overflowing bins and dog mess is commonplace in the UK now. Australia just feels more respectful in nature and shared spaces. Reason 8, a greater sense of safety. I haven't gone deep into the crime stats, but Australia just feels safer. You'll often see police cars, community patrols and police officers just out and about, and this brings a greater sense of reassurance. In the UK, there are stories of officers not responding to shoplifting unless it's more than £200 in value. This doesn't inspire much confidence. In Australia, it feels like there are more resources, more visibility and more accountability when it comes to keeping communities safe, and that matters a lot when you're raising a family. Reason 9, a more personal and efficient healthcare system. In Australia, healthcare just seems more tailored. You can choose your own GP practice and actually see the same doctor regularly, which makes a big difference to continuity of care. Need tests or scans? These are often done the same day or the day after. There are no long waiting lists. They have a strong public health system, much like our beloved NHS, but there's also the option to go private. Australia even encourages people to take out private cover by implementing a Medicare levy. This is probably similar to our national insurance, but the rate is much lower. This is a levy in addition to the tax you pay on your taxable income, which is currently 2%. And unlike in the UK, private insurance companies here expect you to use it and not to have it as a last resort backup. You're not rushed through 10-minute GP appointments, and you can see a GP on the same day without it being classed as an emergency. It's healthcare that works around your life and not the other way around. Reason 10, a more balanced education system. As a former teacher, I've seen firsthand how intense and exam focused education can be. From what I've heard, the Australian system seems more relaxed and student focused, with greater emphasis on real life learning and student well-being. Private schooling is more affordable and more common. Whilst we're not necessarily going to go down that route, it's good to know that parents have options. In the UK, day schooling can cost £19,000 a year, whereas in Australia it can cost anywhere between $24,000 to $50,000. That's a big difference. Reason 11, better value for your tax money. Australia is of course experiencing its own cost of living crisis, but here's the difference, things actually work and you can see where your tax money is going. In the UK, you're lucky if the council cuts the grass twice a year, whereas in Australia, public spaces are immaculately kept. Grass is regularly mowed and the streets feel clean and cared for. General waste is collected weekly and some councils offer free bulky item collections at several points in the year. Let's not even get started on roads, because UK roads have become obstacle courses of potholes and patchwork repairs. Reason 12, lower taxes. Australia's tax system is a bit friendlier. Here in the UK, VAT is charged at a hefty 20%, compared to Australia's more reasonable equivalent of 10%. In the UK, the income tax marginal rate of 40% kicks in at £50,271, while in Australia a lesser rate of 37% doesn't kick in until you earn over $120,001. And here's the biggie, there's no inheritance tax in Australia. You can pass on your estate or even your pension without worrying about massive deductions, which isn't the case here in the UK. It gives you more control over your future and what you leave behind. Reason 13, a better deal on pensions. Starting July 2025, Australian employers are required to contribute at least 12% into your pension, compared to just a measly 3% here in the UK. Plus, employees in Australia don't typically have to make mandatory pension contributions, whereas here in the UK, employees must contribute at least 5% if they want to keep their employer contribution. If an employee opts out of a pension scheme here in the UK, the employer is not obligated to make any pension contributions. It's clear that Australia has a far better setup for retirement. Reason 14, public transport that's actually affordable. Unless you live in London, public transport in the UK is, well, just underwhelming. But in Australia, it's clean, efficient, and surprisingly affordable. In Brisbane, they've even built dedicated busways. They're like motorway lanes for buses. They bypass traffic and get you into the city fast. And the cost? Well, at the moment in Brisbane, it's only 50 cents to get a train into the city. Compare that to a £100 1 hour return train ticket to London. Reason 15, free parking. This one blew my mind. In Australia, you can park at 99% of places for free, whether it be the beach, a train station, or even a big attraction like Bluey's World. In the UK, it feels like you get charged just for pulling over. Parking near Brighton Beach in the UK, for example, can cost £5 an hour. In Australia, you're not constantly watching the clock or worrying about a ticket. You can just get on with enjoying your day. Reason 16, roadworks that actually make sense. When there are roadworks, they're usually done quickly and efficiently, usually in manageable sections that don't paralyse the entire route. Compare that to the UK, where a single project, like an upgrade of a 21-mile section of the A14, can drag on for just shy of 4 years and cause complete chaos. In Australia, it seems the disruption is minimal and things actually get done. Reason 17, amazing customer service with no tipping culture. Customer service in Australia is just better. Staff are friendly, helpful, and genuinely go out of their way to make your experience smoother. And they're doing all this without the expectation of a tip. At the supermarket, they'll pack your groceries and even group them, cold with cold or heavy at the bottom. In UK shops and restaurants, sometimes you're lucky to get cutlery or even a hello, and yet there's still a service charge added to the bill. In Australia, good customer service feels like part of the experience, not a bonus. Reason 18, shopping is just easier. Australia doesn't really do high streets like the UK does, and honestly, that might be a good thing. Instead, you'll find well-designed shopping centres in almost every suburb, where everything you need is in one place. Groceries, fashion, homewares, and even medical centres and play areas. What's more, you won't see endless rows of closed down shops like here in the UK. Local businesses seem to thrive more in Australia, and shopping just feels more convenient, less chaotic and far more pleasant. Reason 19, food that looks and tastes incredible. The food in Australia is just different, fresher, more colourful, more flavoursome, especially when dining out. You notice the quality in the fruit and veg, and menus are creative and varied, and it's not just about the ingredients. Meals are beautifully presented and packed full of flavour. Honestly, can't do it justice in words. You need to see it and taste it to believe it. And yes, the food tastes as good as it looks. Right, my last reason, number 20, is better value holiday accommodation. When we visited Mooloolaba on the Sunshine Coast last February, we stayed in a 2-bedroom apartment with ocean views for 5 days, and it cost around £500. That wouldn't even get you a long weekend at Centre Parks here in the UK, with no sea view, by the way. In Australia, it genuinely feels like your money stretches further, especially when it comes to travel and experiences. Better views, more space, better value. And that's a wrap. Those are the 20 reasons why I'm leaving the UK for Australia. If you've made it this far, thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Whether you're thinking of making a big move yourself or just curious about life abroad, I hope this gave you some insight or maybe a little inspiration. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please do subscribe for more updates on our Aussie journey, where I'll be sharing everything from the move itself to settling in, culture shocks and more. Let me know in the comments, have you ever thought about moving to Australia? Or have you started the journey already? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Take care everyone and see you soon. Bye bye.